Welcome, everyone. I'd like to convene the July 17th meeting of the MCE Board of Directors, and it is 6:37 Pacific Standard Time on July 17th, 2025. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Belvedere,
Here.
Benicia,
Here.
Concord, Contra Costa County, Corte Madera,
Here.
Danville,
Here.
El Cerrito, Fairfax,
Here.
Fairfield, Hercules,
Here.
Lafayette,
Here.
Larkspur,
Here.
County of Marin, Martinez,
Here.
Mill Valley,
Here.
Moraga,
Here.
City of Napa,
Here.
the County of Napa and 4 Napa cities.
Here.
Thank you. Novato,
Here.
Oakley,
Here.
Pinole, Pittsburgh,
Present.
Pleasant Hill,
Here.
Richmond, Ross, San Anselmo, San Pablo, San Rafael, San Ramon,
Here.
Sausalito, Solano,
Yes.
Tiburon, Vallejo, Walnut Creek.
Here.
Quorum established.
Thank you. The next item is board announcements. Are there any board announcements in San Rafael? Any in Concord? And any in remote locations? Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to the next item is public open time. This is an opportunity for members of the public to comment on anything that is not on the agenda. Do we have any members of the public in San Rafael who'd like to speak at this time?
I see none, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public in Concord?
There are no members of the public in Concord and no hands raised online.
Great, thank you very much. And now we'll move on to a report from our Chief Executive Officer. Please go ahead, Dawn.
Thanks very much. We've got a couple of items to run through quickly this evening to get us started. We can go to the first slide here. Just a couple of words on the implications of H.R. 1, the budget reconciliation bill that was passed recently. It contains significant changes to the IRA clean energy tax credits, and we sent a detailed message to the full board on July 8th that has a lot of information. I won't belabor it here and repeat all of that, but if you have questions, do feel free to follow up. I'll also note that we are still reviewing impacts to our procurement and our programs and energy costs going forward. So we may have more information on that in the coming weeks, but we are not aware of any known impacts to MCE's federal grants at this time. So we can go to the next slide. To pass along the good news that we have completed yet another prepay transaction. This is a $1 billion green bond that was issued. And this was a compilation of 4 long-term power purchase agreements that we prepaid, and that it will result in a savings to customers of $65 million. This is the third one that we have done so far. And if you add it together with the others that we've done, it results in $2.7 billion issued so far by MCE. All of these have been done in partnership with the California Clean Finance Authority that we helped form back in 2021. Next slide is another exciting announcement. We just had a new project come online for us. This is the Geysers Geothermal Expansion. This is a project to our north. We've purchased from them before, but this is some new power that they are creating. They've expanded the project, and we were fortunate to get 7 megawatts of the expansion. This is enough energy to power 15,000 homes. And it includes a community benefit allocation that we'll be able to use of $50,000. The great thing about geothermal renewable energy is that it produces around the clock. And so it's really very valuable and helps us with our reliability goals. And we might be hearing more about this on ABC next week. So keep an ear out. Next slide. So I've got to do a quick pitch for our Certify and Amplify webinar that is coming up this Friday. We've been doing this now for many years running. It's a great opportunity for local businesses to get their name out there, get business, get certified if they're not already. This tells you how to do it. So if you're interested, sign up. If you're not going to be able to attend, but you're interested, sign up anyway, and you'll get a recording, which you can share with local businesses and folks you think might be interested. Next slide. Very exciting announcement. We have closed escrow on this building here in San Rafael. Yeah, very exciting. So you may notice some work is already underway. We are not wasting a minute here. We're upgrading the EV chargers out in the parking lot. So the parking lot is in transition. You can see a picture here of the new Chargey chargers that should be easy to use for folks visiting MCE. And the building is going to have a few other improvements in the coming months. So stay tuned for that. Next slide. And best of all, we're not paying rent anymore. So that's exciting. We like that. A couple of dates to keep in mind. We've already released the technical committee meeting that would have happened on August 1st. We do have a tradition of trying to release our August meetings because we know that's when a lot of councils take a break. We want folks to be able to get a vacation in if they can. We expect to be able to cancel the August executive committee meeting and the board meeting, but we're not doing it yet because there's a possibility that we might have an item that comes up at the last minute. So we will release those as soon as we can. It's looking very likely at this point. But then we'll jump right back in with some events later in the year. We've got the board retreat happening on October 16th, and that's going to be in Concord at our new suite in the same building where we've been before, but it's a nice new suite. Those of you that are in Concord right now are getting to see it, and we'll have the whole board there for our retreat on October 16th. So make sure that's on your calendar. The annual Community Power Coalition is having a symposium on Friday, November 14th. Board members are welcome to join that. Should be really, really interesting and fun day. And then last of all, the holiday party on Thursday, December 11th. And of course, the remainder of our board meetings and committee meetings are still on the calendar. So we'll keep you posted if any of those are released. And next slide. Just wanted to, maybe that's the last slide. Then I'll just give folks a heads up that we are in the process of scheduling board interviews with our auditors. So a message went out just yesterday letting you know that you can sign up for a time slot to talk to our auditors. All board members are welcome to sign up for an interview, and we encourage you to do that if you're able to and if you're interested. And with that, I am wrapped up with my report here, but happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Dawn. Are there any questions from members of the board in San Rafael? Any questions in Concord from members of the board?
We have a question from Director Perret.
Okay,
Hey,
go
Don.
ahead.
Thank you so much for the report on HR1. I've seen in the media that Donald Trump has signed an executive order since then pertaining to large wind and solar projects for permitting. I believe they have to now get approved by the Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum. So just hoping you can address that and any implications for any projects we were hoping to bring online that now might be delayed or stopped. Thanks.
Stephanie, do you want to weigh in on that yet? Go ahead.
Sure, happy to. Good evening, folks. Yes, so the HR1 was signed over the July 4th weekend, and then the following Monday, the White House issued an executive order that directed two things. One, within 45 days of the executive order, Treasury is to provide guidance on the restrictions, the new restrictions on solar and wind projects and their access to those, the investment tax credit and the production tax credit. So we're still waiting to see what that says. It's possible that it could just sort of further explain its existing guidelines, but it's also possible that it could change the existing guidelines. So we have about a month to go until we find out what's going on there. To the point that you just referenced about Department of the Interior, yes, we are seeing that Department of the Interior, and specifically the Secretary of the Interior, now has to sign off personally on a host of decisions about solar and wind projects, but those are only those located that are on federal land. So anything that is a different generating technology or that is not located on federal land doesn't have to go through that administrative process.
Okay, are there any questions from board members that are in remote locations? Seeing none, are there any members of the public who would like to ask questions or comment on the CEO's report?
I see none here in Sanderfeld.
Anybody?
No
on
raised
Zoom?
hands online.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tanya. Okay, we're moving on to the consent agenda. And would any members of the board like to remove any items from consent? And I'll ask Concord first. Any in Concord?
Concord.
Okay, any in San Rafael would like to remove anything from consent? Anyone in remote locations, board members like to remove anything from consent? Okay, so we'll move on to members of the public having comments on items on consent.
None here in Sanderfeld.
No one on
N-
Zoom or
None in Concord and none on Zoom.
Thank you very much. Okay, bringing it back, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Move approval of items C1 through C6.
I'll second.
Okay, so that was Director Beckman and Director Jacobs second. And can we have a roll call vote, Madam Clerk?
Yes. Belvedere.
Yes.
Benicia.
Yes.
Corder Madera.
Yes.
Danville.
Yes.
Fairfax.
Yes.
Hercules.
Yes.
Lafayette.
Yes.
Larkspur.
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
Mill Valley.
Yes.
Moraga.
Yes.
Napa.
Yes.
The County of Napa and 4 Napa
Yes.
cities.
Yes.
Thank you. Novato.
Yes.
Oakley.
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Pleasant Hill.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
San Ramon.
Yes.
Solano.
Yes.
Walnut Creek.
Yes.
Did I miss anyone?
Hey, good afternoon. It's Devin Murphy. City of Pono votes yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Welcome, Devin. Okay, we're moving on to one of the main games in town, and it is our MCE 24/7 Renewable Energy Pilot Proposal. Johnny Kipiator, sorry for not getting that correct, Power Analytics Senior Manager will be introducing the item. And please go ahead, Johnny, and apologize for the name mix-up.
Thank you, Dr. Kohler, and I think you got it right. It's Kipiator, yes. As you've heard, my name is Johnny Kipiator. I'm the Power Analytics Senior Manager, and today I'll be taking you through the MCE 24/7 Renewable Pilot Proposal. Next slide, please. To begin with, we'll go through the background of MCE service offerings. We'll then get to the meat of it for the pilot product and then move on to the next steps. Next slide, please. Currently, MCE offers 3 service options for customers, with Deep Green being the 100% renewable product. We have the default service, which is the light green, offering 60% renewable at the moment, and MCE Local Sol, which offers 100% renewable from local solar resources. Next slide, please. Digging in a little bit deeper, for Deep Green, this is, as I said, 100% renewable, and it's usually sourced from wind and solar from California, although out-of-state wind and geothermal are also eligible resources if need be. It accounts for about 6.7% of MCE's customers and has about over 500 gigawatt hours in annual energy usage. As for light green, it's currently at 60% renewable. MCE plans to escalate this to 85% renewable by 2031. And it accounts to over 5,000 gigawatt hours of annual energy. For Local Sol, it's 100% renewable from solar resources that are sourced locally within MCE's service area. It's currently limited to 300 customers, and about 100 of these customers are enrolled in CARE and FARA discount programs, with about 11 receiving the MCE CARES credit. It is closed to new enrollment, and the premium price is fixed to a long-term contract. It accounts to about 1,500 megawatt hours in annual energy usage. Next slide, please. What you see in front of you is a chart of MCE's achievements for the default light green program. The solid green line shows the GHG-free content of MCE's energy, while the dotted green line shows where the state currently is. There is a goal for the state to reach 100% GHG-free by 2045, and as you can see, MCE is already close to that target at the moment, with over 95% GHG-free energy. As for the renewable content, it's currently at 60%, with plans to get to 85% by 2031. Still 13 years ahead of state goals, which from the RPS program needs to get to 60% by 2030. Next slide, please. Having given a background of the current offerings that MCE offers its customers, I'd like now to take you through the pilot proposal for a new product, which is going to be 24/7 renewable. Next slide, please. To walk back through the journey of how MCE arrived here, at the board meeting in August 17, 2023, the MCE board directed staff to explore new 100% GHG-free 24/7 service offerings, for which staff presented a 24/7 fossil-free pilot energy service to the technical committee in May 3rd of 24. Subsequently, on July 7th this year, MCE brought this pilot proposal to the executive committee, for which it was recommended for approval to the board. In addition, the Marine Climate and Energy Partnership, a consortium of all cities and towns in Marin County and City of Novato, have also expressed interest in a 24/7 renewable product. Next slide, please. This is in addition to the regulatory changes, particularly to the Power Source Disclosure Program, which requires MCE, starting in 2028, to report all emissions associated with its previous year's generation on an hourly basis, 24/7. So MCE will adjust emissions reporting metrics to match this regulatory requirement, beginning with the 2028 Power Source Disclosure Report. It's with these considerations that the proposed 24/7 renewable pilot was developed, and the next slide goes into some of that detail. To begin with, the product will be a 24/7 renewable energy. The initial premium will be set at 5.4 cents per kilowatt hour, added to the light green rate, and can be updated with the budget cycle. It's targeting about 400 municipal accounts to begin with within the pilot, and for a timeline of 3 years beginning January 1st, 2026, all the way through December 31st, 2028. The renewable sources will be sourced from solar, wind, storage paired with solar and geothermal. Geothermal has some de minimis amounts of geological CO2 associated with it. However, the California PSD rules treat geothermal's power as zero emissions. And the reporting framework will be to hourly match and report the load and supply for every account that is enrolled in the pilot program. Next slide, please. When we speak about municipal accounts, this is separate from municipal customers. Municipal customers would be the towns, the city of, and county of, for example, the town of Danville, the city of Benicia, the county of Contra Costa. Those will be municipal customers. Municipal accounts are the facilities that each one of these municipalities hold, including the administrative offices, the civic centers, the libraries, the fire departments, the housing facilities offered by these various municipalities, and the police departments, among others. There are about 6,138 such accounts within MCE, accounting for 188 gigawatt hours in annual energy. About 3,444 of these accounts are enrolled in deep green, and which accounts for about 22.5% of MCE's deep green usage. To continue on to the next slide, some of the considerations in here include when you have wind and solar, they are great renewable sources. However, they're intermittent and are dependent on variable weather. This makes it such that it won't cover for all 24 hours a day throughout the year in energy usage. As such, you either have to overbuild such resources by 3 to 5 times what would normally be the case for a reliable, stable baseload resource like geothermal, and are also very expensive to access. The other consideration is that this customer hourly load profiles and demand need to match what's already procured from these resources. With that in mind, the target number is about 400 to ensure the success and feasibility of the pilot, which also accounts to about 2,000 megawatt hours in annual energy. To give a perspective of the size of this pilot, this would be about 1% of the entire municipal customer load. Next slide, please. To arrive at the 5.4 cents per kilowatt hour that initially was mentioned as a premium for this pilot, first, you have to look at the cost of procuring the additional farm-shaped renewable energy. And then from that, take out the cost savings from the light green product. In that, if you had a customer in light green who uses 1 megawatt hour of energy in an annual year, and they move to this pilot, which is now on an hourly basis, currently 60% of that is accounted for by renewable energy and about 40% from carbon-free sources procured on an annual basis. When such a customer moves on to the pilot program, which is hourly, they now have to take or bear the costs associated with their usage for getting the energy on an hourly basis, but at the same time, given that they are already been accounted for annual usage, you have to take now that cost and take it off from the cost that has come about by the hourly usage, and that's how you arrive at the 5.4 cents per kilowatt hour in usage. This premium could also be updated annually during MCE budget setting to ensure that it keeps track with how the costs are moving around from year to year. Next slide, please. There are several goals that MCE wishes to learn from such a pilot, and I'll go through them with you here, with the first being offering a continuous 24/7 renewable energy option for customers who are looking to go beyond deep green, like the city of Novato, for example, and assess the interests in an hourly renewable product across different customer types and categories. So this will be the commercial customers and residential customers, for example, agricultural customers, for example, if they're interested, would like to assess the interest for that. Also like to identify which customer load profiles are most compatible with our current supply portfolio in order to figure out how do we proceed in terms of acquiring more energy resources to meet more of these loads. We also like to develop an efficient method to track and report hourly metrics for emissions and energy use in preparation for the new regulatory changes that are coming up in 2028. Another goal will be to accurately price the pilot to cover the cost of the procured resources. And in addition to that, determine the price points that customers are willing to pay for an hourly product. And last but not least, it's to plan an effective expansion of the pilot program to a broader base of customers and eventually the entire MCE load. Next slide, please. If approved, the next steps for MCE would be to market the pilot out to the municipal account holders through its engagement and communications teams. And on January 1, 2026, launch the pilot program, which would be open to the first 400 municipal accounts that sign up. And this pilot product will be reported on the power content label beginning in 2027, as the power content label is usually for the energy use in the previous year. Next slide, please. The recommendations, the MCE6 are two of the followings, which is approve the 24/7 renewable pilot program for up to 400 municipal accounts with a usage of about 2,000 megawatt hours a year, starting on January 1, 2026 for 3 years with an initial premium of 5.4 cents per kilowatt hour. And two, approve the rate premium methodology for 24/7 renewable pilot program and direct staff to update the premium annually during MCE budget setting. Next slide, please. I would like to now open the floor for any questions.
Thank you very much, Johnny. Great presentation. I'd like to ask first of San Rafael, are there any board members who have just questions for Johnny or other staff? Okay. Director Andre?
Great. I thank you for your presentation. Okay, so I just joined this board about 6 months ago, and I apologize if this is a newbie question, but I don't quite understand what is the difference between deep green and this pilot program from the customer's perspective. Isn't deep green already 100% renewable? So why would a customer want to pay more for essentially the same product? I mean, I understand it's 24/7 and there's better matching, but feels like it's going to be more expensive. So trying to figure out what the difference is between being a deep green customer and enrolling in this program from a customer's perspective, and why a customer would want to pay a premium for that.
Thank you, Dr. Andre. So to begin with deep green, it's 100% renewable, but the accounting is aligned with the current reporting, which is done on an annual basis. So this is when you look at the customer's annual usage in energy and match that with the annual cumulative renewable generation for that. The 24/7 pilot takes it further in that it matches every single hour as you move along the hour for the usage and with renewable generation for that hour all across 8,760 hours that are within the year.
Okay, sorry. So if if there's an existing deep green customer, you're saying there's parts of the day where they're not getting 100% renewable? Is that what you're saying? I don't quite understand. Sorry.
Yes, that's accurate. So Deep Green is currently serviced with solar and wind. And so given that these are intermittent resources, when solar is not producing or the wind is not blowing, there's hours in which those resources are not producing, but the customer is still using energy in those hours. So those hours are not covered by renewable energy. However, when you do the cumulative annual accounting at the end of the year, which is the standard for accounting currently for energy, it will be matched with 100% renewable energy. Yes. So you are correct. Yes.
Okay, so then this pilot program then is, then you're guaranteeing that it's going to be 100% renewable, whereas the current Deep Green is not necessarily 100% renewable all the time. So you're saying under this pilot program, they will be 100% renewable 100% of the time? Is that?
Yes, that is correct. With this pilot, it will be for every single hour that you use energy, it will be matched with renewable generation for every hour all throughout the year. And it's precisely why we are limiting the pilot to a small subset of customers to begin with, to ensure that while we guarantee that energy usage for those customers, we are also learning on ways of tracking and reporting and making sure that we are able to scale if more customers are interested in this product.
Okay.
I want to also tag on to that, though, because the Deep Green product is guaranteed to be 100% renewable energy. So that the difference isn't whether it's guaranteed or not. The difference is how the accounting is done. So let's say in your home, you use 500 kilowatt hours of energy across the whole year. That means that MCE needs to buy 500 kilowatt hours of energy during the year to meet your load. That's how energy has traditionally been done, how energy procurement has traditionally been done, and accounting has traditionally been done in the market. What we're doing here is much more challenging because you're looking at an hour-by-hour basis, making sure that we have enough renewable energy available even in the middle of the night or in the evening after the sun goes down. If it's not a windy day, we need to make sure there's enough renewable energy going onto the grid at the same time that you're using energy. So it's more of a costly approach, but either approach does result in guaranteeing renewables are purchased for the load. It's just a matter of whether the accounting is done on an hourly basis or an annual basis.
Sorry. Okay, but so MCE is already contracted for these customers. I mean, I understand it's a very small sliver of our customer base, so the numbers may be small, but you've already contracted for what these Deep Green, let's assume that these are Deep Green customers. You've already contracted for what they might be using, so you might have some excess that they're not using. Would that be the?
We will be procuring for this load. We will be dedicating some resources that we already have and backfilling those resources to meet the needs of our other customers. But it will direct how we do our procurement going forward.
Right. So, okay. Understood. I mean, I guess, I don't know, being a municipality, and I do believe City of Larkspur is a Deep Green customer. I'm not sure that the city understands that the Deep Green product is not 100% renewable all the time. And so I think explaining that is going to be, I think someone's going to have to explain to the municipalities and also explain why I mean, I think people are under the impression that the deep green product is 100% renewable all the time. And there's, and so if it's not the case, then I think we're going to have to, I mean, we may still get people who sign up for this product, but I'm just saying, like, from a municipality standpoint, it feels like we may have thought we were paying for a specific product that we weren't paying, that we may not have been paying for necessarily. And now we actually have to pay extra for, you know, a renewal product that's 24/7.
This might actually be a good time to hear from Zay, or Johnny may want to say more about this. I know that we've had specific requests from the Marin Climate and Energy Partnership and other municipalities who are interested in getting a 24/7 product. There is pretty common knowledge that the annual accounting is what's used for a deep green product. But Zay, do you want to say more about those requests?
Yeah, I certainly can. So it is widely known that deep green is 100% renewable, and it is on an annual basis. But we have had customers that kind of want to piece their electron with their costs, and that electron with 100% renewable support at any given time. So it's recognized. For solar procurement, it's going to be fairly easy for us to be able to do that. And we get a lot of questions from customers. Well, if it's 100% renewable, how are you providing anything at nighttime? So this is the product that provides that clear transparency for customers almost to that electron. So that's what the ask has been. And so that's what we're looking at. The other portion of it is a request to switch to hourly pricing and to recognize that hourly pricing. And to do so, you also have to look at an hourly priced renewable product. So we're trying to take care of many different steps all at the same time because we will have hourly pricing in the future. It is a requirement from the state. And this will allow us to match 100% renewable with that hourly price as well.
Great, thanks.
I want to just have one follow-on question. I'm sorry I'm chairing, but just when we do have to start reporting on the hourly basis in 2028, what is that going to mean for people that are, I don't believe it's widely known that most basic customers just say, hey, I'm 100% renewable, and they don't know all the time or any of that. But what happens when we have to start reporting on the hourly basis in 2028 to people, to those of us that are on deep green? Is it going to be deep green, sort of? I mean, and then I'll open it up to others. When Director Andre was asking those questions, that was sort of rolling around in my mind because pretty soon this is going to be, we're here.
Yeah, well, great question. We have to have an hourly product. Everyone doesn't have to be reported on an hourly basis. So it's kind of like the transition to TOU. Folks can be on TOU. They don't have to be on TOU. We moved everyone over to TOU, but there are some folks that can't be on time of use, sorry. So it's the same thing with hourly pricing. We will have the availability because we're required to have the availability, but not every single rate or every single option is going to be on an hourly basis.
Okay, great. Director Beckman, I think, was next, and then we'll get to Director Burke.
Sure.
Thank you. First, just a quick question. Understanding that one of the recommendations here is to approve the rate premium setting methodology, which happens as part of the budget process. I just wanted to ask, would the board still have discretion to adjust those premiums during budget time outside of this rate setting methodology, or adjust that methodology at budget time if so desired?
Of course. Oh, go ahead, Johnny.
Just as our CEO said, the board has discretion on any single item that's brought here, and the direction from the board is what the staff usually follows.
Perfect, thank you. And then I also just wanted to follow up on Director Andre's question of, about looking at the 24/7 program from the customer perspective, because I think that's such an important lens for us to view everything that we do through. And I wanted to just share my thought that, I think our customers are almost by definition people who are interested in doing what they can to address the collective action problem that is global warming, climate change, and within that problem is sort of the sub-problem of our duck curve. And staff, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think this offering is a way for people to say, great, I've been on Deep Green, I've been, paying for, as much energy's worth of, renewable energy as I use in a year, but now I have an opportunity to take a step even further, pay a little bit more, and in doing so, help fund MCE's ability to address the duck curve problem by procuring renewable energy that matches my usage throughout the day. Is that right? Thank you.
Okay, Director Burke.
My comments were similar to Director Andre. And first, I don't think that consumers generally are aware that they're paying on an annual basis. I think they just think it's 100% renewable. And I think if you fast forward to 28, you'll need to think about how you're going to reposition the product because, I mean, there's how it's billed, but it's then how it's used. And usage is probably, I mean, what would you guess? I mean, so the true renewable usage of a standard deep green customer would be, is it 50% renewable, 60% renewable?
It's 100% renewable.
Not in actual usage. So if I'm using it, if I'm using energy at night, you're not actually fulfilling that with renewable. You're refilling it with something else, right?
We are fulfilling it with renewable. We're just buying that renewable when it's generated during the daytime. So it's not matched on an hourly basis.
So all usage is always renewable.
Yes.
Okay, so then why in 28 would it be different?
The only difference in 28 would be for those customers that elected to be on an hourly rate with that 24/7 program.
Okay.
Any other questions in San Rafael? Seeing none, any questions from board members in Concord?
We have two questions here. We first have a question from Director Zakach and then Director Bellatz.
I just have a question about the 400 accounts. If you have overwhelming interest, how are you going to choose those 400 accounts? And then my question is also the opposite. If you get a number fewer than 400, can you still go forward with the pilot project?
Thank you for the question. So to begin with, it's fast come, fast served up to 400. So any number that MCE receives is what we'll move forward with. We're just capping it at 400 for now to first make sure that we are able to meet the obligations for the pilot and to learn how to track, expand, and scale the product to a wider range of MCE customers.
I think your mic may not be on.
Okay, sorry. My question was why do 400 municipal accounts as opposed to private accounts? Maybe people in, environmental type businesses would be more interested in, paying a premium. So that was my question.
Yeah, definitely. So to begin with, the City of Novato and Marine Climate Energy Partnership, which is a consortium of all marine towns and cities, had expressed interest. And so in partly of that's why MC chose to start with the municipal accounts as we learn through what are the various hoops of tracking it and reporting it and also managing the usage on a day-to-day basis, matching it with supply on a day-to-day basis for all hours. Then once we're able to determine what that is, expand it to other bases of customers like residential, commercial, or industrial, per se.
All right. Johnny, thanks so much for the presentation. Really appreciate it. My question right now is the cost that you have set up is about 5.4 cents over light green. And right now they're paying for deep green pricing is what they're paying.
So yes.
Okay, so if you took average bill for one of these municipalities now versus the pilot program, can you tell me approximately how much more they would be paying in their bill? Have you done that?
We haven't looked at for specific municipality because for the municipality accounts, it varies. Some of them are on a lower spectrum, some on the higher spectrum. But then just to give an idea, those who are in deep green, and we'll talk more about this on the next presentation. So the deep green rate right now is about a cent. And so this one is about 5 times that. So when you do the calculations, it's going to increase the generation rate, but then in terms of looking at the entire bill, it won't be a significant percentage, but I can get back to you on the actual amount for a specific customer.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I think a lot of municipalities, everybody's watching their money right now. And if you're using a lot of electricity, then, and the price goes up tremendously, it might be a little hard to sell it. So, all right. Thanks so much.
Other questions in Concord from directors?
Yes. We have one more response to that question from Zay. Go ahead, Zay.
Hi, everyone. Zay Perrin, Vice President, Customer Operations. I do have some cost comparisons to share with you all. So at the largest municipal level, that would be a B19. That would be a increase of just over, $2,800 for the single month, change from light green to the 24/7. The change from deep green to 24/7 would be $950 for that monthly difference. That's on the average. For a B10 customer, the difference between deep green and the 24/7 would be a $70 increase. And for a B6, which is a mid to small municipal account, we're looking at a $8.50 increase on the monthly charge.
Thank you. Any more comments or questions from board members in Concord?
Yes, we have a question from Director McCormick.
Yeah, so just thank you for the presentation. So just so I understand, I mean, you talk about municipalities and municipal buildings. These are city kind of buildings, libraries, things like that. But I always thought of when you have hourly dynamic pricing, the value of that is that you can kind of track your energy usage hourly and then adjust accordingly, right? But a lot of these municipal buildings, you can't really adjust it's kind of like it's on, fire departments they're kind of on when they're on, off when they're off. So I guess I'm confused why a municipal building would want to do this. I mean, because I guess we're kind of missing what the customer value proposition is necessarily, right? Because I don't know how much flexibility they have versus a private residence where they can actually not do things. They have more flexibility to shift their energy usage. Or am I misunderstanding the value of hourly pricing?
No, so there's two different concepts here. So there's the hourly pricing concept for which this pilot sets up MCE to be able to do, because once you have more and more customers who are on the hourly energy usage tracking, you're also able to price that and do the rating based on an hourly basis. Then there is a second component here, which currently is they're paying on a kilowatt hour usage, and the premium, which is the 5.4 cents, is just on a flat across the board for those customers. So the value proposition here is when you have customers who want to match their energy uses on the hourly level as opposed to the annual level.
Okay, and we think municipal buildings are the best customer that can do that?
Certainly there's interest for that, and for the different kinds, like you said, for the municipal accounts. So you have, for example, you have the lights that only come at night. Then you have the offices that's mainly used between 9 to 5. So when you put together a mix of those, as opposed to residentials who most of them have the same behavior, you're able to put in a bunch of different types of customer loads that fit well within the procurement, or rather the energy usage. So it's one of the groups that is best suited for this. And certainly once we figure out what other kinds of customer loads are able to meet a product like this, then we can expand to the broader sense of the broader customer base.
Okay, so this is a kind of, got it. All right, thank you.
Johnny, if I could add something to that, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
This is Greg Tillman. I'm the Associate Director for Rates for MCE, and just want to respond to you. So what you're talking about is having the customer shift load, and that's really a function of a customer shifting his load to create better pricing for himself. This product specifically is about us shifting the supply of renewable energy to fit the customer. So the onus is on MCE to make sure that the right energy is flowing to that customer at the right times.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments from folks in Concord?
Yes, we have Directors Perret, Director Darling, and Director Masensky.
Okay, go ahead, Director Perret.
Thank you very much. Just to clarify, Johnny, for folks, we dug into this at the executive committee a couple of weeks back. So just to clarify, this is opt-in, right? So cities that want to be a part of it can be a part of it, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And it's accounts. So if a city wanted to opt in with just one of their accounts, if they have many, they could opt in with just one.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then how are you going to be outreaching to the cities? You mentioned Marin Energy and Climate Partnership, where all of the cities send staff and they kind of collaborate. But for the cities and counties that aren't a part of that, how are you doing outreach? And is there a role for us to play to try to encourage our cities to sign up? Because I hear from board members this might be a hard sell initially, so it might be incumbent on us to do some work here. So just curious on your thoughts on next steps. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Perret. Certainly, we do rely on our directors to pass this message to their respective towns, cities, and counties. And on top of that, our MCE's engagement and communications teams would also be reaching out to this same municipal customers with information about what we've presented here, and then with some of the other propositions like other characteristics, including like types of the bills, the changes in the bill costs and things like that, so that each respective municipality is well versed on what the product is, what's going to cost, the value proposition, and how to opt in. And that will be happening between now and January 1st, if approved.
Thank you, Director Darling.
Yeah, I just wanted to check. So when we talked about this at executive committee, I was thinking the value proposition that you're making to the municipal customers is this is another way to help you meet your sustainability goals so that it's not going to change pricing per se for time of use, but it's going to be a way to say we have made sure that all of our use, no matter what time of the day or night, is being met with renewable power at the time that the power is being supplied.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And then, so my other, and this is just a suggestion, I know I looked back and talked to the people who made the original decision to go deep green, and that was actually a city council driven decision. So when you guys are doing your outreach, it'll be useful for us to have something so that we could say, we know what each of our city accounts are and which ones, how much it would cost for those city accounts to do the switch. Because we're not going to, what we did is we just waved magic wand and said, everything in Walnut Creek goes deep green. This one will have to be more tactical about it because we are all in a tight budget time of the year, time of the cycle. So.
Thank you, Dr. Darling. We'll be sure to provide that information and any more information that any one of the directors would want as part of this outreach efforts.
Okay, I think there was another director, I'm sorry I didn't catch the name, who had a question or comment.
It's Masensky.
Thank
The
you.
question is related to our ability to actually scale the product within a reasonable amount of time. So say this works and 400, customers go, great, I love it, but there isn't that much 24/7 renewable generation in the market which we could procure within a certain amount of time. So what does that ramp up horizon look like in the event that 50% of our customer base goes, yeah, I want that product? But is there enough of those projects that we could actually procure to supply it 24/7? Or there might be, or if there isn't, that's what I'm asking.
So thank you, Director, for that question. So there is potential to upscale with the current resources. However, we have yet to track how the usage and supply is on an hourly basis. And so part of this pilot is to track that and know at the moment how much can MCE actually serve on an hourly basis. And then with that, also with the pipeline of the projects that we are currently negotiating and the ones that we are reaching out through either our RFO or RFIs, we'll be able to know which ones of those projects should we prioritize in terms of acquiring and the timelines. And that would be as part of expanding out, letting people know that this is how much we're able to add more from this year to the following year, depending on usage. But if we are to expand, we won't be able to expand and serve, even if the interest is, as you said, 50%, we won't be able to ramp up to 50% immediately, but then there will be a plan to ramp it up based on the interest that we receive and move forward from there.
And just a follow-up question, is the horizon for which, and this is a little bit of like big sky thinking, but is the idea for the horizon of this product to be in a 5-year timeline where we have 50% of our customer usage? Or do we anticipate it to probably be like 25% of the overall customer usage? Or is it we want 100% by X date?
So we haven't put the horizon in it yet because we are still in the exploratory phase. And part of this also goes into the integrated resource planning that we do. And so it's through that process that we'll be able to make plans on a future horizon, say 5, 10, 15 years, and have an idea of how that ramp up scale is going to be. Because it's very difficult to meet the entirety of MCE's load on an hourly basis.
Thank you. Are there questions in Napa? Seeing none. Questions in Solano?
No, I had my hand up actually.
I'm sorry, I can't see the screen.
That's
smaller.
okay. My hand matches the color of the wall, so it's hard for you to see that. Thank you for the information and presentation. And I think based on the questions, this is a complicated issue for a lot of people to understand. I think, some of the basic premise of understanding sort of, I think Director Beckman described as that duck curve, and I understand that, but this is going to be a real challenge to be able to present not just to our municipalities, but to the communities. And I'm just wondering if we might be better served by defining the problem a little more and doing some education and outreach to be able to set the stage a little bit better to say, here is why we're moving to a 24/7, rather than creating a program with a cost to it that could be complicated for us to explain to our municipality. So it's more of a comment than a question, but I feel like there's a big educational component here that could serve us a lot better to get to that point of a 24/7 program than starting with something that's going to be complicated that we're going to be trying to explain and maybe facing some roadblocks and not reaching the success that we want to reach. So maybe the question in all of that is, what is the urgency in doing this now versus starting with some sort of an educational opportunity for all of us as board members and to share with our municipalities about why it's important that we move to a 24/7 program? Because I think if we as a board have these questions, you can only imagine that our colleagues on councils and boards of supervisors are going to have this many questions and more, and it's going to become
cumbersome to sell. So I don't know if my colleague wants to add to that, but those are my questions and comments.
Yeah, I agree very much with Director Painter, and I think that a lot of this has to do with the way this is being messaged. It is very complex, and I don't feel really super confident about bringing it back to my colleagues. I think they will have these questions and more, and there needs to be some work done around, as Director Painter said, around the education piece, but also the messaging piece. I feel like there's a lot of information getting lost in translation, and some work needs to be done to message this as a true benefit.
Thank you. And are there questions in Solano County? No, thank you. And are there members of the public in San Rafael that have any comments? Could you go up to the podium and turn on the mic, please?
Hi. So my name is Stephen Rosenfeld. I'm a reporter from the Marin IJ. At the executive board meeting, I'm going to say Johnny said the increase was going to be 30 to 35% for municipalities. That was his numbers. That was the quote. So how is the numbers that you're using here so much smaller?
I can respond to that. I did that calculation. Hi, everyone. My name is Vidhi Chavla, VP of Power Resources. So that was just based on our average rate for light green. So our light green average rate is somewhere between 14 to 15 cents. So I kind of, because we were put on the spot, we were asked to do an on-the-fly calculation. So it is about 35% on top of what you already pay for light green. So that was in that context.
And I'll add, I need to make a correction to what I had provided earlier. I was looking at my premium increase sheet. So for a B1, that's a smallest business rate, we're looking at a differential of $60 per month. For B6, which is a small to medium size municipal account, we're looking at a difference of $90 even. For a B10, which is a larger but not high use municipal account, we're looking at a difference of $830 per month. And for the largest, the B19, we're looking at a difference of $10,100.
And I think what's important to couch these numbers in is just a reminder that the MCE generation rate is only a small subset of the customer's bill. So the customer bill includes typically gas charges and always includes transmission and distribution charges. And those together tend to be more than the generation charges. So a percentage increase on the generation charge, when you look at the change to a customer's bill, it's a much smaller percentage change when you look at the full customer bill. But you're asking a good specific question, so we can certainly follow up with you and get you exact numbers on the percentage change and the impact on the overall bill.
Yeah, so just as a follow-up question, it's this messaging point on that, is it 100% renewable versus, well, maybe it's not 100% renewable at the time of use, but because of your annual accounting, you can do the re-averaging and it comes out to balance at 100. It's very, very complicated. And I've heard criticisms that there's overclaiming, and that as you move to the hourly schedule, the number's going to be less than what's advertised. So can you explain that again in really the simplest possible terms? Because it's the same questions that your fellow board members were answering before. And if I'm going to try to write about this for the IJ, I want to be crystal clear, and it's not crystal clear. So thank you for indulging that.
Yeah, I'd like to comment to that and happy to hear from other staff also if they want to add. But I want to start by saying thank you because, these board meetings and committee meetings are such a good way for us to hone the message, the explanation, make sure that we're communicating as clearly as we can with the public. And we really benefit a lot from this dialogue. When we began talking about this 24/7 idea back in August of 2023, 2 years ago even, we were starting to formulate what would be the right way to talk about this. We've also been bringing it up in our Community Power Coalition meetings. I'm sure it'll be part of our symposium coming up in the fall. So thank you for the input and the dialogue. I think one piece that would be important to add when we're explaining the way that deep green currently works is that when the sun isn't shining and you're using your washing machine in the dark at night, how is that green energy accounted for? We're buying it at other times. So the next day, we're buying more renewable energy than you're using that day to account for what you used the night before. So I think that's the simplest way to think about it, is that we're buying the total amount of what you use, night or day, for the whole year. We're buying that renewable energy, and it is very carefully tracked and regulated. There's an accounting system known as REGIS, the Western Regional Generation Information System. Every kilowatt hour of energy that we purchase has to be accounted for in REGIS. We have to take transfers in REGIS. We retire every kilowatt hour of energy that we buy so that it can't be resold or double sold. California has a very rigorous system of tracking that. So I'm very confident in providing strong assurance that it is accounted for. I think what is often not thought about, and maybe it's not necessarily glossed over, but probably just not thought about by an average customer, is like, well, I'm buying 100% renewable energy. How is it being produced when the sun isn't shining and the wind isn't blowing? Well, it is getting produced, but it might be the next day when you're not using all of it and it's going to other places. So I think we can improve the messaging. I acknowledge that it's a tricky conversation. It's very heady. I think we can make it more clear. We have an excellent marketing and communications team. We could maybe do some more graphic representations, maybe do an animated video. We have a couple of those on other topics that have been really successful. But does anyone else from our team want to add anything to what I said?
Dawn, this is Director Darling. Could I ask you a question about the way you just described it? Because I think I sat through the whole XCOM. I think I finally have it. So right now, a deep green customer who uses electricity at night, that is not a time where we have a lot of deep green, we buy extra deep green the next day. It doesn't necessarily go back to that customer because electricity is not like water. You can't move it around like that. It goes to somebody else. Is that right?
That's right. And that's true for even at the time that you're using that renewable energy, it might be getting generated. It probably is getting generated in another place. It's going onto the grid. The grid is the swimming pool of energy. Once everything hits that grid, it's in a swimming pool. You can't track it. The electrons aren't tracked. If we wanted to be able to track every electron, we would need a wire going from each solar facility to each house. It's possible, but super expensive. So we use the grid because it's already there. But the grid is a big swimming pool, and we can't keep track of what goes on and what comes off. We can track how much goes into it and how much comes out of it.
And I was just going to mention, along with Dawn's analogy that she just talked about with the swimming pool, the most success that we have with customer operations and talking to customers in the call center is the bathtub analogy. Every time we purchase energy, it all goes into the bathtub. You're helping the environment. by increasing the amount of 100% renewable that sits in that bathtub and gets distributed.
Before we go there, I think we had another question before we come back to San Rafael. Did I see somebody else's hand up?
I just quickly wanted to add to just what Don and Zay said. I think one thing to remember is that the regulatory framework that we have today only tracks renewable energy on an annual basis. So we don't even have that framework that is provided by regulators that can actually do that hourly matching. And MCE is trying to get ahead of where the regulations are going. So which is why, like, because there's no mechanism to track it, there's no market to buy that product. So that's why we're kind of ahead of what our regulators want to do eventually. And that's why this is a pilot so that, we can slowly, lead the way for the regulators on how to do this tracking. So this is just something that I wanted to add, that there's no mechanism to actually even track that on an hourly basis right now as per our regulations.
Okay, thank you. What I would like to do now as chair is finish with members of the public. Then we'll bring it back and see if there are other comments from board members. So thank you, Mr. Rosenfeld. And let's see if there are members of the public in Concord or on Zoom. Tanya?
There are no members of public in Concord or on Zoom. Thank you.
Okay, so bringing it back, we had Director Beckman first, then Director Andre, and there might be others in the other locations. So go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I guess I'm a little bit surprised with the direction that the questioning has taken us this evening. Questions around why are we doing this? Is there demand? Can city budgets support this? And unless I'm misunderstanding, I guess I just want to confirm with staff. First of all, this is optional, right? This is an opt-in pilot program. And second, this was developed in part because we know that this is going to get us towards future regulatory requirements, but it was really developed in response to requests for exactly this service from our customers. So I guess I'm just confused why we're interrogating, whether there's demand or whether this is good for cities. We're doing this because demand was demonstrated, and if cities ultimately decide that they don't want to spring for this, they don't have to enroll. But I don't see why we wouldn't proceed with developing this offering that our cities have requested, in light of the clear demand. So I'd be happy to move forward with this.
Okay, Director Andre?
So Director Beckman, I completely hear what you're saying in terms of, I think the question is just, how do we move forward? And how can we, if we're being asked to bring this back to our municipalities, how do we explain it? And I think a lot of us are struggling with how, what is the value proposition to the customer? And how do we explain? I mean, I'm still very confused about what this deep green product is or isn't. Honestly, I don't know that I can actually explain this is the program we thought we were on, and now let's do this pilot program. I'm not sure that I can explain it properly. So I think that's kind of what we're struggling with is just, I'm not saying, this pilot program doesn't have merit, and it sounds like, the legislation is saying that we need to have something in place by 2028. So, I do think that, it's a good idea for us to adopt a pilot program at some point to, make sure that by 2028, MCE is ready. I just think I personally had a lot of questions. So, but I did have one other question. Okay. So back to so on the deep green, if I'm a deep green customer and I'm using electricity at night, so theoretically, because you can't control, where my energy is coming from at night, it could theoretically be burning fossil fuels, or, how are we, how do I know that I'm actually using, when I'm running my laundry machine at night, that I'm actually using 100% renewable energy? Are you just saying we can't track it? The only way we can track this right now is buying the energy the next day when, I mean, there's plenty of energy the next day. I think it's just, the critical period is, in the evening when the sun's not shining and there may not be enough battery.
Yeah,
Maybe
so
before we answer that question, I think one of the things that I'm hearing is a lot of questions about deep green, which this pilot is kind of raising those questions, but I'm kind of wondering, I think we should answer that question, but it goes back to when we sign up for 100% deep green, it's not that I'm getting 100% every minute of the day. It's what you're doing, because we have to think of this holistically. Holistically, we are providing 100% renewable for our world, which is a small world, but it is our world. So some of us, when we first started out, thought, oh, okay, all day, I'm going to have, every minute of the day, I'm going to have it, but it's not like that. And so I would just say, I think you should answer that question, but what I'd like to say is I think we should get back to the pilot a little bit more. And it really seems to me that one of the things Director Painter brought up and her colleague in Napa is this is very complicated. And those of us who are sitting on this board are more used to hearing these kinds of discussions, and you're hearing a lot of questions. So one of the things Dawn was talking about, we can do a better job of messaging this. I can tell you today, most likely folks in MCEP are staff. They're not the city council members sitting there. We're the ones who are looking at budgets, and it's a really rough time for, I know every city that I know in Marin and others because of federal and just property taxes going down, et cetera. So I think I would like to kind of direct us back to where are we going with this pilot. I think Director Beckman's idea is it is an opt-in, but I think the messaging really needs to be better, because if you want us, I can tell you, we can't afford it in Fairfax, even another $100 a month, we can't. But I can tell you that if you want us to be your messengers out there and answering questions, we need a better message that's easier to convey, because you guys know this like the back of your hand. I don't think all of us do. So excuse me for interrupting you, Zay.
yeah, not a problem. There is no mechanism for the actual electron. The important part to focus on is exactly what Director Kohler just said. You're purchasing 100% renewable for the amount that you're using. So you may not get 100% renewable electron that very moment, but everything that you have purchased for your usage is 100% renewable. So if we think about the bathtub, and we use a bathtub analogy, and the 100% renewable is pure clean water, we are enhancing that bath with that clean water and taking out some of that dirty water that would be there in its place. So that's kind of the way that we would explain deep green to our customers that call in and ask the very same question. And this is just another product that further enhances it. So if we're going to use a bathtub and we're going to use water, maybe this is a purely alkaline plus water source, to give an analogy.
Thank you. Thank you. I have one really simple question. Should we go ahead with this 3 years down the road? Let's say municipality X I want in, and I'm currently on deep green. Would it be fully explained to them that at the end of 3 years, they're going back to deep green, because this is a pilot and we want to learn from it. So how would we do that?
Yeah, we would go through and analyze that and walk everyone through. We don't know what the findings of the pilot will be, but we'll share all of those, and we'll be partnered in what happens after the pilot. The pilot could produce 24/7 going forward. It could produce multiple layers of 24/7 at different renewable contents. Like, there are all these different possibilities, and somebody could elect to go back to deep green. The other part that I want to offer and express is that when you're speaking to the municipalities, when you're speaking to your colleagues, we can offer the resource of going through the accounts, seeing which accounts would be the best suited to test this, and provide you with that cost comparison based on your last 12 months of annual usage. My team does that all the time. You'll see it in my presentation in not too long. So that service and that offer is there on the table at all times.
This is Dion from Hercules. So it sounds like this has no fiscal impact. It's a trial program, so there's nothing lost in trying it. If no one signs up, then we'll know it wasn't a good program. But it sounds like we have folks that already have interest in it. So if it pleases the rest of the board, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're
One
through.
more
Oh, we have a comment in San Rafael, Director Jacobs.
Thank you. So one other question, is it going to change the delivery charges that PG&E charges? Okay, another comment, this is taking off on you, Zay. I've been using the analogy of a reservoir. Stream water, river water, rainwater coming in, and you're taking out and the amount that comes in from those things. That's been the easiest way I've been explaining it to people. So just another way. Thank you.
Great. And Dion, would you like to make that motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2025-03, resolution of the Board of Directors for MCE establishing the date and time, location, and regular. Sorry, did I read the wrong one?
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we go forward with the 24/7 renewable program for up to 400 municipal accounts with usage of up to 2,000 megawatt hours?
Megawatt hours per year.
Per year, starting at 1/1/2026.
I will second that. This is Director Darling.
Okay, I think just to clarify, there's two recommendations and the motion should include both, which weren't mentioned. So,
in our city, we do them one at a time, but yes. And then also approving a rate premium methodology for 24/27 renewable pilot program and direct staff to update the premium annual during MCE budget setting.
And I will second the amended.
Okay, and just a friendly amendment to the first one, it was for 3 years, an initial premium of 5.40 cents per kilowatt hour. If you'll accept that friendly amendment.
Yes, as recommended by staff, yes.
Okay, and.
Me too.
Okay, great. Madam Clerk, could we have a roll call vote?
Yes. Belvedere,
Yes.
Benicia,
Yes.
Corder Madera,
Yes.
Danville.
Yes.
Thank you. Fairfax,
Yes.
Hercules,
Yes.
Lafayette,
Yes.
Larkspur,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Mill Valley.
Here, yes.
Thank you. Moraga,
Yes.
City of Napa,
No.
the County of Napa and 4 Napa cities,
No.
Novato,
Yes.
Oakley,
Yes.
Pinole,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Pleasant Hill,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
San Ramon,
Yes.
Solano,
Yes.
Walnut Creek.
Yes.
Is there anybody that I missed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thanks to all directors. So next we have an update of the Deep Green Premium proposed effective October 1st, 2025. And Johnny Kipiator, Power Analytics Senior Manager, will be introducing this item as well. Please go ahead, Johnny.
Thank you, Director Kohler. So I'll also be taking you through the update of the Deep Green Premium. And next slide, please. Where we can go through the background of the journey of Deep Green, then go through the proposed update to the Deep Green Premium and next steps. To begin with, there are several pathways towards MCE mission. And the mission is to confront the climate crisis by eliminating fossil fuel greenhouse gas emissions, producing renewable energy, and creating equitable community benefits. One of the ways of which MCE is moving towards that is increasing renewable or GHG-free content in light green. Like I earlier mentioned in the previous presentation, MCE will be gradually increasing its renewable content from currently at 60% to 85% renewable by 2031. The second pathway is to continue to offer deep green as an option for all customers. And third is to seek market conditions that will allow MCE to again begin defaulting customers into deep green. Next slide, please. MCE launched Deep Green around May 7, 2010. And after that, in August 18, 2022, the board approved Deep Green as the default product for new accounts effective January 1, 2023. However, in January 1st, 2023, the launch of Deep Green as a default started for the new accounts. However, in August 17th of 2023, the same meeting in which board had directed staff to look for alternative ways to explore 24/7 renewable option, the board also approved pausing Deep Green as the default product for new customers. Next slide, please. To understand Deep Green a little bit further, it's during this Deep Green as a default program period on January 1, 2023 to August 17, 2023, that MC saw an incredible surge in Deep Green usage, where accounts by the end of that period in August rose to about 67,000 accounts enrolled. And this represented about a 406% increase in Deep Green enrollment. Of those 67,000, about 7,500 of them received Deep Green at no extra cost, as these were customers who were enrolled in discount rate programs. And however, due to various market conditions, some of which I'll explain later in the presentation, like curtailment, very high market prices, and a shortage of renewable supply, the board elected to pause automatic enrollment in order to ensure the success of the current Deep Green customers at the time. Next slide, please. Since that 2010, when Deep Green was launched, the premium had been set at $0.01 per kilowatt hour. This premium is added to the light green rate and has remained constant throughout that period, while the cost of renewable energy and frankly everything else have gone up since 2010. MCE therefore proposes to increase this premium to cover the current costs by two different options, one of which is an increase of 50 cents per kilowatt, half a cent per kilowatt hour for the premium. Half of the current premium, which is half a cent, goes towards funding community programs. And the next slide highlights some of those local project programs that are funded by this half a cent. One is the income qualified EV rebates, where $3,500 per vehicle is stacked on other incentives. It also goes towards MCE Sync that automates EV charging at home for you to use less expensive power without having to worry when to plug in or not to plug in your vehicle. Another one is the workplace and multifamily charging, where there's a $3,000 rebate for workplaces and multifamily properties. Next slide, please. There's also electric heat pump rebates. However, the heat pumps need to be grid enabled. There's the emergency replacement of water heater loaner programs, which facilitates electrification at the point of existing water heater failure. And there's community housing incentives, which funds building remediation and repair works for homeless shelters and other community housing where it might be difficult for them to find these opportunities otherwise. The following slide shows the progress of renewable energy pricing since November of 21st. And prior to this, all the way up to January of 2023, prices had been fairly stable, averaging about $14 a megawatt hour. However, the beginning of 2023, which coincided with also the defaulting of Deep Green for new customers, prices sharply increased and hovered all the way above $70 a megawatt hour through the end of 23. But however, that did not stop there. As it progressed towards 2024, peaking at September of 24 with over $90 a megawatt hour for renewable energy. Since then, the prices have come down all the way down to the mid 20s. However, the prices at which the renewable energy has settled at now is still higher than the $14 per megawatt hour for which the 1 cent premium per kilowatt hour was tracking closely. Next slide, please. To elaborate how this premium is arrived at and how the costs have shifted over time, first we look at the cost of procuring additional renewable energy. As moving from light green to deep green, there's an extra 40% of renewable energy that needs to be procured, and this represents that cost per kilowatt hour, which currently stands at 0.96 cents per kilowatt hour. You then take out the second component, which is the carbon-free energy cost savings. Essentially, this is when a customer moves from light green to deep green, they're switching the 40% of carbon-free energy into deep green. And as such, given that you no longer need to buy that carbon-free energy for that customer, you credit them the cost savings from that, from the 40% renewable energy that you're now charging them. And then the third part of the premium is the local projects fund adder, which is set at 0.5 cent currently per kilowatt hour, that goes on to fund the projects that I've earlier spoken about. However, for customer understanding, the increments are going to be set at quarter rates of 1 cent so that it makes it easier for communication and messaging, which currently, as you see now, based on that calculation, the current cost of serving deep green stands at 1.18 cents per kilowatt hour. Next slide, please. This slide pretty much shows the same information as the last slide, only in cents and dollars form for the 2024 price year, currently 2025 price year, and the proposed options. In 24, the cost of that additional energy when prices were all the way up to 90 was about 3.8 cents per kilowatt hour. The credit for the savings in carbon-free energy was about 1.4 cents, and the local projects fund adder remains the same at 0.5 cent. This puts the cost of serving a deep green customer for 2024 year at 2.9 cents per kilowatt hour, which is about 3 times the price in which the current deep green customers are paying for the premium. For 25, with the same calculation, it's at 1.18 cents per kilowatt hour as compared to what they're paying at 1 cent per kilowatt hour, about an 18% difference. And as such, MCE has put forth 2 options. Option A, which is to increase the premium to 1.5 cents a kilowatt hour, and option B at 1.25 cents per kilowatt hour. And these options allow for the absorption of the price projections and cost recovery. And 2, to make sure that moving forward, MCE is able to track the cost of deep green renewable energy with the premium to avoid any subsidization of the cost from other customers. Next slide, please. This slide gives a snapshot of the story of what has been happening with deep green over the last few years. So for 2024, if you remember, the cost of actually serving deep green customers was about 3 times higher than what was being charged. And that led to about 10 million in under collection. So that's the difference between what MCE was able to recover from the premium and what the cost of acquiring that same energy was. For 25, we are still going through the year. However, if the year ends with the current rate, the under collection is projected to stand at about $1 million. And so together, just for those 2 years, not even including 2023, is about an estimate of about 11 million in under collections for that. Option A puts the annual recovery at about 1.6 million. So this would be the cost that will be able to be recovered on top of the cost of just serving deep green using option A. And option B will be about 360,000. And this estimates were calculated based on the annual typical usage, which is about 500 gigawatt hours in annual usage. Next slide, please. Looking at how the average customer bill would be affected based off of this, currently, our residential bill stands at $181.23. Option A will move it up to $183.46, which is about a 1.2% increase in their bill. And option B has it at $182.34, which is about 0.6% increase. For the commercial customer, the average rate currently stands at $527.49, and option A would move it to $533.33 for the deep green customer, which is a 1.1% increase. And option B moves it to $530.41, which is a 0.6% increase. Also, in addition to that, the half a cent per kilowatt hour in local projects funds would translate to about a 2.5 million approximately, which goes towards the local projects fund as has been in the past few years. Next slide, please. It's with this in mind that staff has the following recommendations to the board. One, selecting option A or option B. Option A is approve an increase to the deep green premium from 1 cent a kilowatt hour to 1.5 cents a kilowatt hour effective October 1st, 2025 for an overall bill increase of 1.2% for residential customers and 1.1% for commercial customers. Option B, approve an increase to the deep green premium from 1 cent per kilowatt hour to 1 cent 0.25 kilowatt hour effective October 1st, 2025 for an overall bill increase of 0.6% for both residential and commercial customers. And two, approve the rate premium methodology for the deep green premium and direct staff to update the premium annually during MCE budget setting. I would like to now open the floor for questioning.
And if I might add just one other thing. Thank you for the great presentation, Johnny. I just wanted to add that we had a great discussion about this in our executive committee meeting a couple of weeks ago and got some great feedback. And I wanted to clarify that the executive committee didn't have a majority of members recommending option A, but provided good feedback, and it resulted in us kind of going back, and we came up with option B as an alternative. So I just wanted to offer thanks for that and also just clarify where XCOM landed on it.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Johnny. So let's start with questions in Concord this time, to be fair.
I see Director McCormick and Director Perret.
Okay, Director McCormick, go ahead.
Right. So speaking as a small business owner, we own La Marina Music in Lafayette. Not a large commercial business, right? It's relatively small. And our PG&E bill, which most of it comes from MCE, was $1,300 last month. So, I'm on the chamber, I talked to a lot of the businesses. It's a significant, it's tough time. There's tariffs coming, there's all sorts of instability. So I am in favor of anything we can do to keep raising, if we can control costs to our customers, I think we should do everything we can to make that make that real. And doesn't look like, doesn't seem like much, 1% here and there, or 0.5%, 0.25%, but it's a big deal. So just kind of keep that in mind. I don't know where I agree. If you look across all businesses, it might be 500, but it doesn't take very much to get into the many, many thousands of dollars for electricity.
Thank you. Director Perez?
Thank you. Just a question, Johnny. You mentioned on the screen, right, the residential and the commercial. Did you also look at the impact on municipal, given that, most of our cities, at least in Marin County, are on deep green, and this would be affecting their city budgets? Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Perry. Certainly, for the purposes of this presentation, most municipal accounts are within the B rates, which would be the commercial. So that commercial average includes the municipal accounts. However, if you're interested in seeing how, if you're in B1 and B2, or if you need specific changes to your specific rate for your account or your municipal city, our VP of Customer Operations, they can, and his team can provide that for you.
That would be helpful. Sorry, I got cut off there. That would be helpful, Zay, if you do have those numbers. If not, I understand. For municipal accounts specifically.
Yeah, so we do have those available for rate classes, which many of the municipalities fall into. So for the largest, we are talking about a $900 increase. That would be something along the lines of a water power treatment plant. For a B10, which is the majority of the large municipality accounts, that is an increase of $65 per month. For the majority, which is a B6, that is an increase of $8 per month on average. And then for the smallest of small businesses, a B1, we're looking at a $6 difference per month.
And those just
I'm sorry, that is for option A.
For option A, and then option B would be a half of those numbers.
Correct.
So those are accounts, correct? So how many? Obviously, we have cities of varying sizes here, right? And we also have counties. Is there any rough range of how many accounts that a typical city would have in our region? Right, because like $65 doesn't sound like a lot, but if a city had, I don't know how many accounts, right, that could quickly add up.
Yeah, I don't have those numbers right at my fingertips. I have them in total and for total counties and cities. But you could roughly say, based on size, if you have X amount of accounts, then you're looking at a total amount of Y. Unfortunately, that's the only thing that I could provide is a little algebra at this time.
Thanks.
Thank you. Other questions in Concord?
Yes, we have Director Veros, followed by Director Bellatz.
So,
Director Vera?
thanks, Johnny, for your presentation. So my understanding is this is going to impact only the deep green customers, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So do we think that this will discourage them to switch from deep green by any chance? Because as we want to increase their charges, right? So are we by any chance discouraging them to continue to follow in this same program?
I don't know about discouraging, but the goal of this is to align the costs with where the usage is, because when you don't align where the current costs are, there are two factors that come into play. One is that you bring about subsidization from the rest of MCE customers because that cost has to be absorbed somewhere. And when this cost for renewable energy continue to raise and the cost is not being adequately allocated, then it may bring an issue of also raising rates to meet for that. And that would affect all customers. So by putting it this way and aligning it with where the cost of renewable is, it's the best way in which we can, one, ensure that there's no cross-subsidization, and two, mitigate the risks of increasing the overall cost of the entire MCE portfolio without affecting one specific.
Okay, this is going to pretty much test their conviction for green energy then. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Bella?
Hi, Johnny. Thanks for the report. And I'm looking at this a little bit differently. I understand the prices go up. We have to do something to, raise the price. But I'd like to find out about the local projects fund that a half a cent goes to out of the amount. I assume 2.5 million has been going into that every year. Out of the 2.5 million that goes in, how much is actually spent? Do we have a number for that? Do we spend the 2.5 million? Do we spend 1 million?
Yeah, all of it is spent. It's all allocated in the budget. And if we're able to pull the slides back up, slide 7 and 8 describe how those dollars are spent.
Okay. So, but again, whatever you take out, the half a cent, every penny of it is allocated for something.
Yes, that's
yes.
correct.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions in Concord?
We do have a comment from Director Meadows.
Johnny, so going back to 2 questions ago over here, are you saying that light green over the last couple of years has been subsidizing the deep green customers?
In essence, yes.
In essence, yes?
Yes.
That's what
Okay, thank you. I see a hand up in Napa.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, Chair. We have, sorry.
I'm sorry.
We have one
Oh.
more question here in Concord from Director Zakach.
Okay, let's go there and we'll go back to Napa next. Sorry.
Can you remind me, is deep green dynamic pricing? So with the price increase, could there be ways customers could save by using energy in off-peak hours?
So deep green is not in dynamic pricing currently, and so it's under the annual accounting methodology at the moment, yes.
Okay, just to make sure, any more questions in Concord? Okay, let's move on to Napa.
Okay, thank you. And for the presentation and the history, looking at the fact that this rate hasn't been increased since 2010, I think we really need to think about all of that information and where we are in 2025. But my question is whether or not, if we were to consider option B, would we be impacting what we can get done in our local projects? Because it looks like our annual recovery is going to be significantly lower. I think, for me personally, I think those are projects that are really well respected and well run by MCE. So if that's a reason to look at option A, I'd like to know if there's an impact by considering a lower rate on those local projects.
Would someone like to answer that question, Dawn?
The answer is we don't expect there would be an impact on that 50, half of a cent going to the project fund. I think what's uncertain is we don't know exactly how power supply prices are going to land at the end of the year. There's always a bit of a lag in the accounting. And so we're giving you here our best projection. And based on where we see prices currently in the market, it appears that option B will fully cover the cost of deep green while still allowing for the the allocation to the local program fund as we're used to having. So there shouldn't be any impact there. I just want to make sure folks are aware we don't know for sure how the cost of power is going to shake out. And so option A would provide a little more cushion in the event that prices were to go up again, but we expect option B will be sufficient at this time.
You know what in Solana, so let's move on to the San Rafael office question. Let's go to Director Burke first. Oh, I'm sorry. Director Burke.
Thank you. And thanks for the presentation. Quick follow-on question to the local project fund adder. Is that something that's also baked into light green and local solar?
No, it's specifically a carve out from the deep green. It's not an adder.
And what was the rationale for having just those customers pay for programs that benefit all customers?
This is kind of a historical conversation going back to 2010 when we set up the Deep Green program. The board was interested in making sure that we had a way to fund local programs, and we thought that it would make sense to tie that to an optional program, a program that customers could opt out of if they didn't want to be paying that extra premium. So that was the thinking at that time.
Director Beckman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am thinking that I would like to prioritize keeping deep green rates and premiums as low as possible, and I can get into that during discussion, but I first want to make sure that I'm understanding financially and operationally what happens if we don't approve this. Obviously, any under collection for deep green has to get made up somewhere. Do we have a sense of where that shortfall would be funded from?
Yeah, I can speak to that. As Johnny noted, there would likely continue to be a cross-subsidization where light green customers are having to cover the cost of deep green. Also, as Johnny mentioned, there is a likelihood that we may need to raise rates for all customers if this shortfall isn't being covered by the deep green customers.
Would de-emphasizing some of our programs not be another alternative route we could evaluate?
We could evaluate that route, certainly.
Other questions in San Rafael? Oh, I see Director Kircher got to the mic first.
Well, I finally figured out how to turn the mic on. I had a lot of questions. I just have been working on this. No, seriously. I'm just curious, where are we now in relation to the PG&E rates for anything where let's say someone's opted out of light green and deep green. Where do we stand in comparison with PG&E rates? Because I know one of the selling points historically was that we're providing clean energy and we're not charging any more. We're charging actually less than PG&E.
Yeah, I'll speak.
But I just want to say one thing. I know you're going to talk about generation, but we know we have all those extra added costs. So let's make sure that's part of the picture.
Such an important point, and maybe a good place to start is that the PG&E bill is made up of a lot of charges. And actually going back historically to when we launched MCE, MCE's charges were about half the bill. Typically. Right now, that's very different. Right now, it's about a third of the bill. And what's happened between then and now is a lot of new transmission and distribution charges have gotten added. Some of those are tied to wildfire liability, wildfire costs. Some of those are tied to hardening of the system. Some of those, our regulatory team might argue, are actually kind of generation charges that PG&E is tucking onto the T&D side of the bill so that they get extra compensation for that. But regardless, our share of the bill is shrinking. The generation charges are set to account for the energy that we are buying, but we have to adjust that on an annual basis. So I'm going to turn it over to Zay to talk about where we are now.
Yeah, so as our joint rate mailer states, which just went out on July 1st, on the average for our residential customers, we're a few dollars more so about 3% higher for the total cost for MCE customer compared to a PG&E customer. For the actual generation portion, we are less, but due to the PCIA, the price cost differential, PG&E has a negative amount while we have a small amount, which causes that differentiation. And I'll also note that in regards to the question about customer response to a change, generally speaking, we do not receive that much feedback from our joint rate mailer when it comes to the call center. The majority of the cases that we receive are what we call unhelpful feedback that calls us names and says that we're horrible. This one was different, and it was different in that the majority of our cases and calls were customers that wanted to opt up to Deep Green. They recognized the price difference, but they also recognized the value. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear.
Okay, does that answer your question, Director Kircher?
It does, thanks.
Okay, Director Andre?
Yeah, so I am, the comment was made that light green customers are subsidizing, the deep green customers, but the deep green customers are subsidizing the local programs. So it's kind of this, I think it would be cleaner if we set our rates based on the actual production, the cost of production or the cost of procurement of the actual underlying energy. And then, we take out the local programs so that it comes out of the funds where all of our ratepayers are paying into these local programs. So, I also find it difficult to analyze these rate increases in a vacuum without seeing the full P&L. And so, I know, it's not budget season, but it would have been helpful to have had this discussion during budget season so we can actually see, what is happening with revenues and expenses. But I guess when I'm thinking about this, we want Deep Green to be our product that our customers adopt. And so if we are going to be raising rates on this, it's going to get passed through to the end user, which is going to be all of us, right? I mean, if we, as municipalities, if we're Deep Green customers and we raise rates on Deep Green, the taxpayer is going to have to pay more. The water district, they're just going to raise rates on water users, which is all of us. I feel like, I think, we want to be able to cover our costs, but also be mindful of the fact that, when we raise rates, it has a very real impact. I mean, on the board member from Lafayette, he's a business owner, but, we all are going to end up paying for the rate increase ultimately. So anyways, I was just hoping that on the local programs, which is being fully paid for by Deep Green users, whether that could get stripped out or decreased, account for it separately, account for the local program separately, so that it's being shouldered by all ratepayers rather than just the Deep Green. So that would be my, one way to handle trying to recoup the costs. I'd like to keep the costs actually the same for Deep Green, but also find, different way to fund the local programs.
Okay, other questions? I have a question. Looking at the charts and having seen this in XCOM as well, perhaps I'm wrong, but it looks to me like, we had a spike in renewable costs late 2023, 24, right? But at the same time, we also had our default program for Deep Green. So we had to procure a lot more energy. And maybe my math is not right, but it seems like, and maybe Zay can answer this, seems like that was kind of an anomalous year because we were procuring so much and it was so expensive that the 10 million that we show, had we not had the default to Deep Green, would have been much less. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I'm just wondering, to me, I see we went spike and then we're coming down. So do you have sort of an answer to that sort of, maybe it's more philosophical, but that's what I sort of see in my general easy math.
Certainly, Director Kohler. So the spike in pricing, or rather the 10 million that you're seeing in under collection, that's looking at 2024. The default and the increase in usage within Deep Green as part of the default happened in 23, starting in January 1st of 23, all the way through August. Now, at the time in which the board did approve for the defaulting to start in January, staff did make some projections. However, as through with the presentation that was done in August, the subscription and the adoption of Deep Green was overwhelmingly successful, more than what was projected for. And inclusive of that was also the increase in the pricing. So both of that was part of the reasons why that was paused. But looking, that pricing differential did not stop in 23. It continued to increase in 24. And that's where that 10 million is coming from.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. And just one more sort of question to throw out there. Most of the customers that I know just feel really good about Deep Green, and it's their easy way to lower their carbon footprint if they did nothing else. Just kind of, do we think about that because of what Director Andre talked about and our director in Lafayette, prices are going up for everybody. And even what seems like a few dollars may really hurt. Do we have a worry that potentially even raising it 1.25, the premium, might cause some customers to say, hey, I'm out of Deep Green and maybe I'm out of MCE, particularly looking at what Director Kircher was asking. I'm just wondering, do we have that worry? Because I'm sort of thinking that way.
I would say, not to get into semantics, I don't have the worry. I always have the concern. And we always have the concern. I will say that the customer sentiment in this year and in the last year has not been going towards that, especially for our Deep Green customers. And that's also why I bring it up in regards to the joint rate mailer, because these are customers that received the joint rate mailer. They saw that they were paying a little bit more, but they recognized that they weren't on Deep Green and they wanted to pay that additional premium because it is important to them, and it was important to them. All increases are always on our mind, especially for my team, because they're the ones that get to field the calls for customers that are wondering why their bill is so high. So they're the ones that get to educate them on a daily basis and walk them through it, but also guide them with their usage and how they are using. I'll give an example. We had a solar customer that called in and was complaining because they had the exact same usage for 2 months in a row, but their bill was extremely different. And the reason why was because they had flip-flopped their peak usage with their non-peak usage. So they were paying twice as much because they didn't recognize a habit that they had changed. So then we were able to guide them through that, and they switched back. And it goes the same with our Deep Green customers when they call in.
Okay, well, thank you. And just one thing, maybe it's customer operations, but, I looked at that presentation and Marin's been in, MCE, we were the founders, right? And I noticed that we have kind of the lowest, staying with MCE compared to the other communities that have joined. So I kind of think that's something we ought to think about is we've been in the longest, and yet we don't have the signups. And so this is just my concern is adding even an incremental amount of Deep Green might cause more folks to drop out. So thank you for the answer. With that, let's go to public comment, and then if there are any further questions. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Didn't see your hand up. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Sorry, our hand is the same color as our wall, as we said before. So.
Oh, now I see it.
I just wanted to point out that the staff seems to be very clear that deep green is popular, and people who have deep green are committed to that. And you know, it feels good to be doing the best that you can, especially in this environment. And so when we're discussing option A versus option B, it seems to make sense, especially after 15 years, to go with option A. It's nominal, the difference between A and B, but I think we haven't really fully discussed the community benefit piece, the programs that are so incredibly important to our communities, especially at a time when so many incentive programs and other funding is going away. The fact that we're able to provide these great programs is really, really important. And I think that is the other thing that our deep green customers are looking for. So I think that it makes actually sense to go with option A. So just wanted to get that comment in.
Great, thank you. And now can we go to members of the public? Seeing none in San Rafael. Tanya, do we have any members of the public in Concord or on Zoom?
No members of the public in Concord and no raised hands on Zoom.
Okay, bringing it back, I'm going to go to San Rafael first. I think Director Beckman wanted to speak first.
Sure, thank you. I am looking at this question, I think, through what I feel is a sort of a strategic policy lens. And I think, one of my top priorities as just one board member is getting and keeping the price of deep green below PG&E. I want to see MCE taking market share from dirty energy, and that is my top priority on this board. I realize that we have a finite amount of money. This is the real world. We have a finite amount of money we're working with, and we have all sorts of great things we want to provide for our customers. We want to provide renewable energy. We want to provide multiple renewable energy options to meet their needs. We want to provide all of these fantastic, really innovative programs that we've shown such strength in developing and offering. But I think to my mind, I think the top priority has got to be making sure that we are keeping down the price of deep green, which I see as sort of our flagship offering. And again, that offering that's going to draw people out of dirty energy and into 100% renewable energy, which I think is probably the single most impactful thing that we or our customers can do to address climate change. And I think that's a big part of why MCE is so popular among our customers is because folks see this as an affordable and really easy way for them to make a real impact on climate change in their personal lives. So I would shy away from doing and taking any steps that we don't absolutely have to take that would make it harder for folks to make that decision. And I'm fully cognizant of the fact that if we choose to keep the premium for deep green where it is, that money's got to come from somewhere, and that is going to probably mean that we have to de-emphasize some of these fantastic programs that we've put together. I do think that that's where I'm at on this question, so I just wanted to share that perspective.
Okay, other comments in San Rafael? Director Burke?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the spirit of this and the analysis, but I'm less comfortable with the local program or project fund adder. My preference would be that we find a way of cleaning that up. I mean, I think there's about 10% of the customers are on deep green now, roughly.
6.8.
6.8. Oh, I thought there was a number in here that said 10%. So 6.8 paying for a benefit that, the other 4% or 93% get is just something that I think as a process is not necessarily a good one. And so I'd rather take this opportunity to clean that up. And to Eli's point, I think we can cover the incremental costs by pulling down what the deep green customers are contributing to the local project fund, and then figure out a way to eventually get that spread across the entire customer base.
Thank you. Other comments in San Rafael? Seeing none, comments in Concord?
We have a comment from Director Perret.
Thank you
Go
very
ahead.
much, Chair. Max Pere here from City of Mill Valley. As our CEO mentioned, the executive committee considered option A. At the time, option B was not presented, and appreciate Johnny and the work that's gone in to bringing us a second option here. But when presented with option A, a majority did vote not to proceed with a recommendation on that. I do have some concerns with the rate premium methodology for future years as well. We haven't talked about that. I think the methodology in itself makes sense, but I think bringing it in the budget setting and having that possibility that deep green's going to go up in the premium every single year, I think kind of counters our mission, as Director Beckman was saying. So I'd prefer us, if we do proceed with option A or B, to not have that be kind of an automatic rate setting increase every year where customers might think it's going to change year over year. I am going to vote no. I do think, as Director Beckman and others have mentioned, that our mission is to clean the grid, and I think that deep green is one of the simplest ways we indicate to customers they can do that. Obviously, like any option, it has, it's not perfect, right? We talked about the 24/7 option as being superior, and hopefully we can grow that over time. I was very excited to see that come here, and I think, we'll be able to test that out with the 400 customers in the coming 3 years. But I think that, increasing the premium on deep green also misses the fact that we have increased those customers' overall bills in our previous rate increases that have affected light green, right? It's just that additional cent that hasn't changed. But the overall bill has changed, both from the PG&E charges going up as well as us increasing all of our rates in the past. Obviously, we haven't done that for some time at this point. So just appreciate the staff for all of the work, and wanted to explain why I'll be voting no. Thank you.
And I have a comment, but I want to make sure before anybody makes a motion, are there any more comments before anyone makes a motion in Napa, Solano? I don't see either one of those.
There's one more in Concord.
We have one in Concord from Director
Okay.
Barrows.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I'm not a big fan of raising prices or charges. In the past meetings, you have been observed that we were like looking at different options every time when we are coming for the charges. But see, we have a mission to provide clean energy or better energy than PG&E with a competitive price. I understand that, but then at the same time, our mission is to make sure we continue to provide this clean energy. If we kill this, the problem is we end up buying more fossil fuel power because, eventually if we need to continue to provide a quality service and continue to provide this deep green premium service for our customers, if the charges are need to be increased, so and also it's not like huge increase in this case. It's a pretty modest increase, I think. But I understand from director, I forgot his name, but McCormick, I think you mentioned you're a small business owner. I understand from your perspective, but I definitely want to see how we can continuously expand these to providing deep green premium service, even if it means a modest increase in the price. So I'm still inclined to go with the option B at this point. At one point, I definitely want to see how we can get out of the fossil fuel options. So I think we need to expand on this. Thank you.
And this is Director Darling. I had just a quick comment. At the XCOM, I was one of the people that voted in favor of the increase because it's important to me that people pay us for what they are getting. And we have seen deep green because of the higher percentage of renewals. The cost of providing that is higher than it used to be. I think, to me, option B, but I also had the concern that the option A was higher than it was likely to end up being because we'd seen the prices come back down. So I'd be willing to support option B.
Okay, thank you very much, Director Darling. Any more? I have a comment when we're through Napa. Any hands up? I don't see those screens anymore. Well, they're
Yeah,
very
no
little.
questions. Thank you.
Any questions in Solano, comments? My comment is a couple of things. I feel like I'm more on board with Director Beckman and Director Perret and some others who talked about, I think deep green is really important for our customer base. And I think given the concerns of folks with prices rising, even in Marin, where we tend to have more affluent folks, I'm very concerned that philosophically, we're then going to be much higher than PG&E or maybe incrementally higher. So that worries me. I voted no in XCOM for the 1.5% increase. If I were to vote, I would be supporting option B. But I want us to think about something that was spoken about by Director Burke and others, is I think at our retreat, we ought to take up, it's been since 2010 where we decided on all local programs coming out of Deep Green. Maybe that's something worth a retreat option to talk about. Should we start looking at the local wonderful programs maybe being subsidized, but some of the other programs we have, just something to think about, just a retreat item versus an agenda item.
And can you clarify, are you saying we should talk about which programs we might want to eliminate?
Not necessarily eliminate, but I'm saying, we have the 100% soul. Should we start looking at other programs in MCE subsidizing those local wonderful programs that we have rather than eliminating them? I think they're very important for particularly the low income. So that's just something that I think we should consider for retreat, because I know a couple of directors wanted to really look at that, maybe eliminating. That's not where I'm at. But with that, my comments are done. And I would say if somebody would like to make a motion, I just want to make one other suggestion. Rather than on the motion, let's do the rate setting as separately rather than having the option and rate setting together. Can we do 2 votes, Caroline? Okay, so if somebody would like to make a motion on either option A or B.
I move the motion.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear who that was, Director.
I'm Director Sri Arveros from San Ramon. I move the
And
option B.
Option B, and do we
To
have a
approve.
second? Oh, go ahead.
Director Darling, I'll second that.
Okay, Caroline, do we need to read that? Okay, so Madam Clerk, would you do a roll call vote on that?
Yes. Belvedere,
No.
Benicia,
No.
Corder Madera,
No.
Danville,
No.
Fairfax,
No.
Hercules,
No.
Lafayette,
Yes.
Larkspur,
No.
Martinez,
Yes.
Mill Valley,
No.
Marin? Is that happening?
Moraga,
Yes.
Jeez.
City of Napa,
Yes.
the County of Napa and 4 Napa cities.
Yes.
Thank you. Novato,
No.
Oakley,
Yes.
Pinole,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Pleasant Hill,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
San Ramon,
Yes.
Solano,
Yes.
Walnut Creek.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thanks to all of you. Would somebody like to make a motion on the staff recommendation 2, which is approve the rate premium methodology for the deep green premium and direct staff to update the premium annually during MCE budget setting? And I will also say that if somebody would like to make an alternate motion, that's potential.
Director Murphy, I'll move approval of the staff recommendation for that second question.
Thank you, Director Murphy. Do we have a second?
I second that.
Okay, I think that was Director Vero. Okay, Madam Clerk, could you do a roll call vote?
Yes. Belvedere,
No.
Venetia,
Nope.
Corder Madera,
No.
Danville,
No.
Fairfax,
No.
Hercules,
Nope.
Lafayette,
No.
Larkspur,
No.
Martinez,
No.
Mill Valley,
No.
Moraga,
Yes.
Napa, City of Napa,
Yes.
the County of Napa and 4 Napa cities,
Yes.
Novato,
Yes.
Oakley,
Yes.
Pinole,
Yes.
Pittsburgh,
Yes.
Pleasant Hill,
Yes.
No.
Ross, San Ramon,
Yes.
Solano,
Yes.
Walnut Creek.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. Great discussion. So now we're going to move on to our customer operations update with Zay Perrin, our Vice President of Customer Operations, who will be introducing this item. And please go ahead, Zay, and thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. Very pleased to be here with you all and give you an update, an overview of what customer operations does on a daily, weekly, monthly, hourly, minute basis. First and foremost, I'm going to talk about a lot of great things that have happened over the years with customer operations, but I want to, in the very beginning, thank everyone from every department, as well as our executive team and the board, because none of the great work that I'm going to present to you and none of our outcomes would happen without each and every department. From TA helping us with our CRM and making sure that we get our data, from HR providing us with superb staff members, to the executive team saying yes to my crazy strategy to change our service a little bit. So I just wanted to first express that gratitude. Next slide, please. So here we have some wonderful smiling faces. I want to focus a little bit. So this is our meet our team. If we go from the left to right, the first 3 smiling faces, Amy, Ben, and Jared, those are the team members that I started with. I started almost 5 years ago in September of 2000. Amy joined the team in April of, 2020. Amy started in April of 2020, Jared started in January of 2020, and Ben started in February of 2013. And when I came in, we were the customer care team. And the majority of what we did was escalated cases for customer billing issues. And then we also focused a lot on our NIM customers and supporting them. Any customer that had kind of a more in-depth bill or bill issue. And at the time, all of our call center duties were done by a third party. So they were done by a partner. So when I came in, I met with the team and we talked about and discussed what our strategy was and what we could do and whether or not we could improve upon one of the main values of MCE, which is service. And they said, yes, we think that we can. So we looked into that and we put together a strategy and we provided it to the executive team where we wanted to look into bringing our call center in-house. That was approved and we took those steps. So then moving over to the next smiling face, which is Robert Grote. He came on board almost exactly 4 years to the day, so July 6th, 2021. And we brought him in as a customer service manager to help us launch the call center. We brought on board Jasmine and Eddie. Jasmine, we actually plucked as from one of our intern programs. She was an intern with our HR program. We had done all of the analysis and started the steps for the program with Robert. And she had started at the exact same time as Robert. She fulfilled her internship. We opened the positions for customer service or customer success advocates. And so she was hired along with Eddie. So they are our first two CSAs. And they actually helped us transition away from our third party. So we brought them on board in November of 2021 so that they were there to experience our third party handling for our enrollment for Fairfield in April of that very next year. So they did so in both a hybrid system where they were taking calls from the third-party system and working with their customer service representatives and at the same time working in our system. And they helped us define and put together the business rules for how we do it all today, strictly within our own internal process and system. So then officially on December 13th, 2022, we were completely in-house. Everything was done within MCE systems. That meant that we held and controlled all of our data for our customers. We were able to help them and process things a lot faster. And then with that, we recognized by way of Jasmine, who was our bilingual customer success advisor, that although we had prescripted from PG&E a need for 8% Spanish speaking, the reality was that we were getting calls upwards of 40% of our cases. So she was handling all of those by herself and doing a phenomenal job at it. And then we brought on an additional bilingual English-Spanish speaker in Maria. And she started with us in December of 2023. You'll notice that underneath Jared, there's a coming in July customer operations analyst. We had proposed and recognized the need for additional billing support and help. And we also recognized that there were opportunities for us to do in-house billing operations for specific programs. So we were able to open that position. And hot off the presses, I have a couple hot off the presses during this report out. Eddie has actually been promoted to that position, and that was as of yesterday. So very happy for him. And along with that, Jasmine has been promoted to senior customer success advisor. So very proud of all of their accomplishments and their opportunity and ability to get to that position. Next slide, please. So what we do, there are three legs to the stool of customer operations. First and foremost is service. So as I said, we have our in-house call center where we take care of all incoming calls, all customer outreach. Then we have our billing department, which takes care of all of our billing and a focus on our more difficult bills or more complicated bills. Those are solar billing customers for net energy metering as well as solar billing plan. And then in addition to that, solar plus storage. And then we have our operations, which is really the glue of the stool. They help us with our data, with the CRM, and most importantly, our cross-departmental communication. Next slide. So MCE's in-house customer service. As pictured prior, Robert oversees our CSAs. They take care of all incoming calls, all callbacks for any messages that are left, as well as any customer email inquiries, and also website submissions. Main goal is to educate, help, support, and serve our customers. And they do a wonderful job of it, and I'll talk about their outcomes in just a little bit. Next slide. Oh yes, bills, bills, bills. So our billing team, not only do we help explain the bills, but we also make sure that we maintain a relationship with PG&E, since they are the bill service provider. And then also our billing management team in SMUD, that's our third party or our partner vendor. And then we also are instrumental in new community enrollments, helping with that. And then we also support several programs, not only net energy metering, but also some other programs that I'll talk about in just a moment. Next slide. And then operations. So our operations helps with a focus on the different programs that we support. We've got the Green Access Program, which is also known as the DAC-GT, for the Disadvantaged Communities Green Tariff. And they're instrumental in identifying the opportunities and possible improvements that we can do. For example, for customer responses to help support the CSAs, we've created, I think it's now over 103 different response templates, just to ease that and provide that additional information that customers may need. And then also with the cross-departmental coordination, making sure that we're serving our staff and our departments in equal fashion as our customers, because it's very important, especially with the programs that we provide, for us to be able to have that relationship and that information so that we can also provide that to our customers. Next slide. So along with this, to ensure not only the service and equity values of MCE, we have set an affordability focus. And so these are 4 of the programs that we focus on. First being the percentage of income payment plan. It's a pilot program. It is administered by PG&E, and then we are in partnership with them getting it out to customers. And this caps customers' costs for both gas and electricity. So there are 2 levels to that cap. The first level for generation is $13, meaning that a customer in this pilot program will not pay any more than $13 per month for their generation charges. Naturally, if they are charged less than $13, we only charge them the lesser amount, but maximum cap is $13. For the level 2 customers, maximum generation cost is at $38. So that means that total bill, as Dawn had alluded to earlier, we're at about a third. So total cost for a level 1 customer for their cap is at $33. And for level 2, it's at $100. Looking over to the right, the Green Access Program. This is a bill savings program for our most environmentally impacted disadvantaged communities. And we get that report out from the Enviro screen, and it lets us know which customers are the most highly impacted. And the benefit of this program is that the customers that are in it are receiving 100% deep green energy at a 20% discount of the light green price. And this is across their entire bill. Very proud of that program, and I can't wait to show you the next slide in just a second about how well we've done with it. Then, not yet, please. Thank you. Then we have our MCE Cares credit. This is a credit that the board helped us create. It's something that we looked at back in COVID and proposed, and the board accepted it. And then we brought it back a year ago, and then the board approved it in the last budget for its continuation through this year. It provides monthly bill credit for income qualified customers, as CareFera customers, as well as small business customers. It's a $20 per month credit for our CareFera residential customers and $25 per month credit to our small to medium-sized businesses. And then finally, we have the arrearage management program. This is a program that eliminates up to $8,000 of debt for CareFera customers in arrearages. That means that if a CareFera customer has up to $8,000 in debt, as long as they continue to stay current in their payments, they can get up to that $8,000 wiped away. So it's also a very great program. Now we can go to the next slide. So for our percentage of income payment plan to date, so we've helped with this pilot for just over 18 months. We have saved customers $416,000 in generation charges alone. That brings it to just over $1 million when we look at total bill. For green access, we have helped provide over $3 million in savings since its inception in November of 2021. And in January of 2025, we're able to expand the program almost double to over 5,200 customers. That means that for this year, we will come close to providing $3 million in savings in this year alone. And going forward, it's a 20-year program, so we still have, what is that math? Another 15 years. Our MCE Cares credit program, we have over 28,000 current residents in the program and over 800 small businesses enrolled. We've already distributed just over $5.5 million, and we are on pace to come in exactly at budget through the budget year. And I also want to give a thank you to our engagement team, our business development team, as well as our board members that have helped with the SPA, the city walks, and getting customers, small business customers engaged. We have a 400% increase in our business customers that are enrolled in CARES credit this year compared to the prior year. And that is all due to that great outreach. And then arrearage management program. We made the slide back in June. And in our work with marketing, we recognized that the amount of eligible customers in our territories had grown. So we wanted to make sure that we were doing some additional outreach. And so we did that additional outreach. We recognized an additional 3,000 customers that were eligible. And from the time that I made this slide until yesterday when we got the new report out, we had 1,500 customers from the 3,000 that signed up, and 1,500. Did I say 15,000? Okay, 1,500, which is huge. It's 50% return on marketing. So, you know, if we were all in a room together, I would make everyone stand up and clap for our marketing team because that is absolutely exceptional. And in total, those were ones that we could identify as they enrolled in AMP based on the marketing outreach that we did. In total, we've had an increase of 1,900 customers sign up. That means that right now we have $4.7 million enrolled in the program. to be forgiven for our customers. So it's just, I'm very happy. Next slide.
And Zay, do you want to also add that this is coming out of where the source of these funds comes from?
Yes, definitely. So the percentage of income payment plan comes from, you can go one slide back just so that we're all, thank you, comes from a grant. So that's coming from the CPUC. Green Access is also a CPUC program. MCE Cares Credit is funded by MCE as provided by the board. And then their arrearage management program is paid by the state and managed by PG&E. Next slide. Okay, I alluded to it in the last portion with AMP. Here are a few of our customer communications. So we see our hello and welcome to Hercules. The middle one is our cost comparison that we spoke about earlier. And then the third one is an additional outreach that we've done because we noticed a decline in our overall care customer enrollment, meaning that the total amount of care customers that we had in our territory had declined over time. So we did the additional outreach to say, hey, you may be eligible. And from that, we have actually gone from 96,000 back up to 107,000 customers across our territory. So another great success that the marketing team has helped us with and is near and dear to all of our hearts. So from these communications, we see a very interesting trend. So when we look at this next slide, we can see that we have our calls that come into our call center. And all of these spikes are attributable to some sort of outreach or some sort of change in price. Or change in bill. We get a lot of calls on seasonal changes when it changes from winter rates to summer rates. We get to provide that education in that. And unfortunately, the slide cuts off the joint rate mailers in the far right, and that goes up to equal to what it was in March. If you're wondering, for the first part of the year, those were mainly communications for the enrollment for Hercules. We did have some solar billing plan ones scraped in there as well. Other than those communications, customers are calling for these top three reasons: affordability / opt-outs. And the reason why we have those together is because customers either call and say, why is my bill so high? This is too expensive. Or they say, I want to opt out. My bill's too high. This is too expensive. So it's kind of one and the same. The next top reason is just general bill questions. How do I read this? How do I decipher it? Why is it fluctuating? And then program questions. What programs are available, whether it has to do with rates or it has to do with technologies and anything else that we can do. So from those, very happy to report that since opening our call center, we have retained 35% of all customers that have called in to opt out. That is a total of just under 4,000, so 3,910 retained customers since we launched the call center. And we've retained 810 in this year alone. And then our call language percentage, right now we're at 22% of all calls are serviced in Spanish. When we looked to add the additional Spanish-speaking customer service advocate, we were getting calls up to 45% in Spanish. And the reason for that was because they felt that they needed to call back because they weren't reaching a person at the time that they called. So this is a great statistic to see, because now we're reaching them when they call us, and we aren't having to call them back, and they aren't feeling the need to have to call us multiple times. Next slide. So what does all that mean as far as our overall participation? Well, we just reached our highest number of MCE service agreements in our history. In addition, we've gone comparative to last year, we've increased by 0.2%. I know 0.2% isn't a lot, but when you think about the large size of the number, it is quite considerable. And I also want to note that 3 out of our 4 counties have actually grown in participation. And Director Kohler, I know that you mentioned that Marin has the smallest participation, but I also want us to reflect on the historical differences in the initial participation, and that the growth in Marin County is the largest amongst all of the counties, because more and more customers are now opting in or returning. So that is really great to see. So even if we back out the Hercules enrollment, we have more customers today than we did a year ago. Next slide. So if you have a question, you have a need, you need a comparison, you need some education, you need some help, feel free to call our call center between 9 and 5, or email us at info@. We are a one-stop shop for you and for your customers. Next slide. Thank you.
So that was an excellent presentation. Let's see if there are any questions in Napa first, because I never see your hand up.
Thank you for the presentation. We have no questions.
Thank you. Solano County.
I'm good. I'm good. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments in Concord from board members?
I see no raised hands.
Thank you.
Oh, actually, sorry. Director Parade has a comment.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was just going to agree. Great presentation. I was going to just mention that the MCE CARES rebate, I think, has been very successful. And so really proud of this board and the staff for bringing it to us now multiple years. And I just hope we can continue doing that into the future. So just a comment on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Any comments in San Rafael? Seeing none, so let's go to the public and see if we have any. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I saw the head go no. All right. Any comments from members of the public in San Rafael? Seeing none, any comments from members of the public in Concord or on Zoom?
No members of the public in Concord and no raised hands on Zoom.
Okay, so are there any further discussion on this item from board members?
Great job.
Thank you.
Me.
All right, well, I just want to say thank you, Zay, and to your team. Excellent work, and we really appreciate it. And I just want to say, having been here for like 12 years, we've grown. It was always really great, but for a long time, we didn't have a great call center. We worked on that in the early years, and really, I think you've taken it to superstar level. So thank you for that. And so now we'll move on to board members and staff matters. Are there any board or staff matters to discuss? Anything in Concord, Napa, or Solano? Seeing none? Okay, I want to thank you.
One comment I'd like to make.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Forgot
No,
about-
I just want to thank everybody for having a table at the Energy and Efficiency Electrification Fair in Novato. And it was very well attended. It was great to see somebody there. You had a couple people and you had a great table. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will adjourn the meeting at 9:26 Pacific Standard Time. Thank you and have a good evening. Thanks to everyone.